Hi, Miss Meleck. So this is going to be me talking through how my prosthetic is going to work because I don't really have the resources to build a prosthetic here at my house. But please refer to both the photos that I sent you to see all the sketches and a more detailed drawing of how it's all going to work and look. So my prosthetic is a more elegant design that is used for function, but primarily for the aesthetic nature and the beauty of it. So this is more to embrace the fact that you don't have a limb, and it can perform everyday activities, but it's not necessarily designed for more strenuous activities like rock climbing or doing any sort of exercise like push-ups or anything like that. They could be done, but it's primarily designed for everyday tasks like picking things up and doing that sort of thing. So it is going to be built from primarily plexiglass and metal, as well as a bit of rubber where it connects to the actual flesh. So as you can see in the design, I'm going to start up here on the shoulder piece. That's going to represent the ball and socket joint of the shoulder as well as the deltoid muscle. So it connects via a silicone type cast, I want to say, like a connection, so that you can actually fit it onto the flesh, as well as it fastens over the chest, so it's very secure. And then within that you have a representation of the ball and socket joint, and that's going to connect to the main upper arm piece, which is representative of the humerus, bicep, and the tricep. So the way it connects is via a metal rod to a ball and also to the actual forearm piece. And this is, of course, the ball and socket joint, and it's going to control adduction and abduction and adduction of the arm, as well as some medial and lateral rotation of the arm, and some flexion and extension of the shoulder. So this is really going to incorporate the muscles that would be used, deltoid, tricep, and bicep, but there's like no actual muscle representation in the bulk of it. It's just going to be that clear plexiglass. And then I forgot to mention that the way this is going to function and move is that you're going to have sensors that are going to connect to your other muscles as well as your spinal cord, so you do get more of that control over it. Now, I'm not a biomedical engineer, so I don't necessarily know exactly how that would work, but this is how I'm imagining it would work. And these sensors are going to be connected to wires, so you're going to have 5 different wires for the 5 different fingers, and these sensors are going to connect to your skin, and they're going to run through the ball and socket joint, so they're also going to be controlling the joint. And then after the joint, they're going to move through the upper extremity into the second joint, which is going to be the hinge joint or the elbow joint, and then through the forearm to the main body of the hand where the carpals and metacarpals are. And from there, they're going to run into individual fingers. And these wires, again, like I mentioned before, they're going to control all of the joints that are in the prosthetic, as well as they're going to be able to be seen through the plexiglass arm. And I want them to light up blue so that it gives a little bit more of that fashion aspect of it. So it's more of like a statement piece, embracing it. But you can also change colors if you desire, because I feel like not everybody likes blue. You want to be able to change it. Okay, so moving on from the upper extremity and the ball and socket joint, we're going to talk about the elbow, or the hinge joint at the elbow, and this is going to control flexion and extension of the forearm, as well as some medial and lateral rotation of the forearm. This joint is again made out of metal, and it's going to be like a sphere with a little bit more of restricted movement, since you don't want the full 360 rotation of the elbow, because that's not human anatomy. So, but this is going to replicate the forearm muscles that are used to flex, as well as what the bicep does and the tricep with flexion and extension. So it's just going to mimic that. And then we're going to move down to the forearm, which is where the radius and ulna would be. But again, this is just going to be represented in a single plexiglass part that's going to be connected to the hinge joint at the elbow, but it's still going to be able to rotate like the radius and ulna can rotate. And then we're going to move on. So then we have another hinge joint right at the wrist, and this is going to control flexion and extension of the hand, as well as that a little bit of rotation of the hand, the medial and lateral rotation of the hand. So it's gonna be a hinge joint, like I said, but it's still gonna have a little bit of that flexibility so that the hand can move in all the normal ways that it should. From there, we're gonna move on through the hand where the carpals and metacarpals are gonna be, is gonna be another portion of plexiglass. And again, the joints are gonna give it the flexibility. The actual plexiglass is gonna be pretty sturdy, but still see-through, so you can see all of the wires going through the individual fingers. So then we have the phalanges, and they're gonna be, for the main 4 fingers, they're gonna be 3 different pieces of plexiglass, as well as 3 different joints to represent the knuckle, the middle, and the top one for the 4 main fingers. And then for the thumb, there's just gonna be the 2 metal joints that are gonna control that. So you still get full range of motion. You're still fully able to close your fist, although you do lose a little bit of the flexibility with your carpals and metacarpals being able to kind of bend a little bit, but you're still gonna be able to get that full range of motion because you do have the other joints controlling the fingers, phalanges. And all of these joints are gonna be hinge joints, as well as the joints representing the knuckles will allow for abduction and adduction of the fingers, so you can open and close your fingers. And yeah, so that's the joints there are going to replace what the finger flexors and extensors would do, because all of the movement is going to originate from the joints rather than different muscle groups throughout the arm. So therefore, you can have the plexiglass, you can have the aesthetic look with all the movement originating from the joints, without losing the functionality of the arm. Thank you so much.